Yes, guys. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Coach Indy here. We're on episode 3 of coaching words and phrases. Now, if you missed episode 1 or 2, or you missed both of them, I'll leave a link in the description below. You can go and check them both out. They're roughly about 10 minutes each, maybe just under. You can watch them after episode 3 as well. They're not linked. It's just about advancing your knowledge to make sure you have a greater understanding of the game. So in episode 3, we've got 2 separate sort of coaching words and phrases. The first one's called stepping in, more common with sort of a centre back and maybe holding midfielders. And the second one we're looking at is inverted fullbacks, which has become a bit more common, a bit more fashionable over the last sort of 5 to 10 years, in particular in Pep Guardiola's teams. Without further ado, we're going to dive into today's video. I hope you guys enjoy this one. We're going to look at something called stepping in. Okay, so this can be done by maybe centre halves, it can be done by maybe holding midfielders as well. So we're just going to use the purpose of Manchester United versus Arsenal. Okay, Man United on the ball, they're playing a 1-3-4-3 formation, and the opposition Arsenal playing a 1-4-4-2 formation. Okay, straight away Daniel's got a goal kick. And the opposition has now retreated. Okay, they're not going to look to press. They're actually going to go back, probably a bit too deep for a goal kick, but still they're retreating back. And this obviously gives a bit of a signal for Manchester United that they don't have to necessarily go long; they can go short. So say he plays into Harry Maguire in here. Okay, now he has got probably 30 yards of space before someone is going to be in his way. So a player that might engage him. So does he need to just pass that ball into the 4 there? He could do, that's one way of doing it. But also what he could do is, he could also step in. That's what I'm kind of saying. So you might step in. By doing that, you're going to have the 5 that comes higher, you're going to have the 4 that comes higher, you're going to have the 7 that goes even wider, the 2 that probably goes wider, the 3 over here that goes higher, the 11 goes higher, the 9 is probably just making sure he's occupying the 5 and the 6. The 10 is going to go higher, they're probably the opposite side of the 10, and the 8 is going to go higher, opposite side of the 9. And what that means is as he's getting closer, someone's probably got to go and affect him. Okay, so it probably doesn't need to, the 9 or the 10 doesn't need to come out just yet because they're in a good shape. You know, the 6 can't hurt him as it stands right now. It's when he gets to maybe these types of positions in here, where he's getting a bit closer and you think, actually now we need to put some sort of pressure on the ball. Now whether that's just the 10 coming in here like that, blocking off the pass and then into the 10, but also affecting the pass into the 5, which means he just goes safe into the 4, which means it's a good job for the Arsenal team, and number 10's done a good job. But that's one way of sort of stepping in. Another way of doing that is, for example, we go even deeper with Arsenal, so they're playing even deeper into a real sort of low block, and we're still playing the same formation, guys. But what it might be is that the 8 come and gets the ball in here, gets it off to maybe a centre half, and he's now looking to dictate. So if no one's engaging him, if the 9 and the 10 think, actually, do you know what, we're right in our shape, he might step into that space there and try and affect the decision making of the 9 or the 10. Do they go and press and win the ball? Do they try and protect the space in here and make it even more narrow so he has to play a lateral pass into the 10? So it's, you know, stepping in is basically an opportunity for a player to typically, with a centre half or a holding midfielder, to exploit the space in front of you. You know, if there's plenty of space for you to eat up, go and attack it and then release the ball. It's about timing. It's also about what the opposition does. You know, if opposition starts to come out here and Harry Maguire's got the ball, then that's absolutely fine because they're going to be disorganised earlier, which means you can release the ball earlier, which means the better players in advanced positions can go and hurt the opposition. Okay, so that's how and what stepping in looks like.
'Cause you make me come here. Oh, I'm loving all that you're calling you. Give me like the fire. I long for your company. Oh, girl, you fucky one time Hong Kong, one time Hong Kong.
Okay, next up we're going to look at how to play as an inverted fullback and what it kind of looks like in a positional sense. So we're going to use Man City as an example. I think Guardiola's kind of introduced it to everyone over the last 10 years or so. Using it at Bayern Munich, now using it at Man City. So we'll use Man City as an example. Edison with the ball. He might play out to, say, Laporte, and then Laporte out to Cancelo. So we're really concentrating on the 3 and the 2 here, guys. Everyone else is kind of irrelevant. But naturally, if the ball comes over to the left-hand side, you're going to have players come across, naturally, just to come and support. Maybe in a Man City team, you'd have the opposite winger just touch the whites because he likes to sort of disperse his team. Okay, so you might have Rodri coming a bit closer here as well. Now, a typical fullback would be for 90% of the teams, probably 95% of the teams in world football would be in this position would be something like that. Okay, so giving yourself sort of nice sort of balance there in terms of the defensive line. However, one of the things that's evolved in terms of a weakness in Guardiola's team is the transition. So we're just going to incorporate a couple of players. So you've got Son here, and you've also got Højbjerg. Okay, so we use Spurs as an example. So typically, Man City, passing the ball about, it might go into Rodri, back to Cancelo, etc. Really looking after the ball. But say if we did break down it and Højbjerg had the ball here, then number 11 would be away in this position here. So Son played a pass into here, and then maybe get a shot, win a set piece, or penalties, for example. Okay, so that would happen quite a lot for a weakness, if you like, into the Man City sort of the way Guardiola likes to play his teams. So what's kind of subtly changed over time is the 2's now become into here, and that will be the opposite as well for if Kyle Walker had the ball over here, João Cancelo would come into these central positions and look to outnumber, so almost make a bit of a box here. So really trying to sort of protect that central area, but also it helps with the transition by having a number of players in these sort of types of positions. So that's kind of what an inverted fullback looks like. Doesn't necessarily have to be, for example, João Cancelo is decent with his left foot, but he's not left-footed. Can be a right-footed player there, can be a left-footed player, and you don't really see it on the opposite side when you've got a left-footed player play as a right back. But typically an inverted fullback would be protecting the spaces in here to make sure it stops the opposition on them transitions. Okay, so you've got Manchester City versus Spurs in this game. You've got Zinchenko on the ball as a left back. You also got João Cancelo playing as a right back. Both are quite narrow. You've also got Laporte and John Stones making up the back 4, with Rodri kind of in the middle of it next to Harry Kane. And this type of setup, Man City kind of trying to play 5 defensive players, 5 attacking players. You've got the 5 defensive players in yellow circles, and you've obviously got the 5 attacking players in sort of the coloured circles. In this way here, it kind of gives the freedom for the 5 attacking players to do what they want across the front line, and obviously you've got that box with the kind of central player in the middle of that protecting the transitions.